everybody. So this is Check Your Schedule with 17's entertainment expert Rick Bentley. I just love that there's so many entertainment venues to choose from, so many events to choose from, and the weather is beautiful this week to get out and enjoy.
Yeah, it's all, yes. Again, we want to reiterate over and over again, people always saying there's nothing to do in Bakersfield. And then I start pouring through all this stuff, and it's like, I'm limited on how much I can get even in a 30-minute package. So there's plenty to do. And the good weather's going to really help one big event, right?
Exactly, the marathon. So we know that we're heating up middle of the week. That had so many marathoners worried about these final days of training, but there's a cool down just in time for the big day. It looks to top out at 70 on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's great, right? It means 50s in the morning and then the 60s for the big day. So this is all happening on Sunday.
Yeah, and what's so great about this is this year's event is almost doubled what it was last year. And tourism, people, you've got to keep it in mind, tourism is the cleanest industry on the planet. We bring in new people with new money. It's not like we're spending our money with the local restaurants. It's new money coming into town. So this kind of program that's building up this kind of steam and this kind of recognition, runners are a very spoiled group. And if they don't like a marathon path, they're not coming back. So the fact that we're doubling shows that they're doing something very right with this marathon.
And there are little tweaks every year. This year we're going to start and end at the Kern County Museum, but I love that they are so intentional about this course. They really worked hard to make sure that they're showing all of those visitors the best parts of our town and making this beautiful map. It goes along the bike path, it comes through some of our most famous streets and our most beautiful neighborhoods.
Yeah, and people need to check out ahead of time if you're going to be out and about on Sunday, and some people should be going to church, well, we're not going to say, but if you're out and about, make sure you know where the streets are going to be blocked off so you can just work your way around that. There's plenty of ways to get around in this town. You just have to know them and don't get stuck at one of these stops while you're waiting for the runners to go by.
Exactly, and there will be police officers there at each stop, and they're going to tell you to wait. Once they have a clearing, they'll let you through, but you do have to be very patient.
Yeah, it's good just to plan ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, so here's a look at the schedule for that day. Again, the full marathon starting at 7:02. Everything should be done by 2 p.m. And we will have special coverage here on KGET and online, where we will have a live broadcast on TV from 7 to 8 a.m. And then we will move over to online only from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on race day. But that's just Sunday. There's so much else happening, including the symphony on Saturday.
Yeah, again, talking about the diversity of this town. The Bakersfield Symphony Orchestra will present Mozart and Beethoven at the Mechanics Bank Theater starting at 6:30 p.m. March 29th. It also features the Bakersfield Master Chorale, Bakersfield College Combined Choirs, and CSUB University Singers. Okay, even I know Beethoven, and I'm not a big music guy, I know these names. The works will include Beethoven Symphony No. 9 in D minor. This Saturday's concert is concentrating on the classical works of Mozart and Beethoven and featuring those people I just mentioned previously. So if you have any interest whatsoever in classical music, and even if you don't, we're talking about the masters here. These are probably things you've even heard in movies over the years and say, I didn't know that was written for the movies. Well, it wasn't, but it is from classical music makers. Okay, to save on tickets and avoid high ticketing fees, call the Symphony direct at 661-323-7928 or visit bsonow.org.
And I just love skipping the fees, right? You know that all that money is going to the symphony.
Exactly. Why do we want to pay fees when we can use that money elsewhere? Buy a Beethoven t-shirt.
There you go. And so the Mechanics Bank Theater is now the Dignity Health Theater.
Right.
And so with that coming to the arena at Dignity Health, we have a big act.
Again, talk about diversity in music here. Tito Double P will perform at 8 p.m. on March 30th. Now, Tito Double P is the stage name of Jesus Roberto Garcia. He's a Mexican singer, rapper, and songwriter.
And I just love that we have such a large Hispanic culture here that loves this music. So to have one of their stars come to their hometown, but you don't have to speak Spanish to enjoy this show.
You know, I work part-time as an usher at the Fox Theater, and I've seen many a show. I don't speak no Spanish, and yet the music is so energetic and so lively, and so, you know, you can appreciate music in any language. Just enjoy the melody and just let it flow over you. And that's what you're going to get here. You're going to get a very energetic, upbeat performance.
It's just fantastic. Also at the Bakersfield Music Hall, people think of that as a living museum, but they host many great concerts as well.
Yeah, and this one is going to reflect what I consider one of the great musicians of all time. They're going to host Stevie Ray Visited. Now this is a tribute to the great guitarist Stevie Ray Vaughan. At the event, it's going to be on March 27th. And tickets for the event are running from $60 to $65. But, you know, that might sound like a lot, but that place is not that big. This is a great situation where if you really want to be up and close and personal with musicians, that's a wonderful place to see a production like this. So if you have any interest in music, especially Stevie Ray Vaughan, who, again, just you know, one of the legends in music, that you should check that out.
I love hearing that music come back to life in person, and like you said, it's such a small entertainment venue where you feel it in your ribs almost.
Yeah, exactly. I understand the Taylor Swift tours with all the
Right.
thousands and thousands of people. That's an event, but if you really want to feel the music, it's these kind of small venues that you really need to check out.
I just love that. And of course, speaking of small venues, I love that we have a comedy club in town. They are growing in popularity.
They are. You know, it's funny how you know, at one point I didn't know we even had it, and then suddenly I heard about it, and now we're getting some really good acts coming in there. But if you're looking for a laugh, then just go out to the Well Comedy Club. They're having Hump Day Comedy on March 26th. Okay, so the evening's going to include a free open mic night that's hosted by John Wells. So if any of you out there are a comic in the making, this is your shot, okay? So you show up at the Well, and you can take the stage and start your road to stardom or to failure.
And even the failure, it's fun because you're having a great time with the crowd.
And again, if you've always said, I think I can do that, then this is your chance. It's not going to cost you anything. Just do it.
Yeah.
It's a good chance, yeah. And again, go with friends. Anybody who takes their own hecklers, they're going to be okay.
Right, yeah, and then be ready to stand up to those hecklers as well. Also happening this weekend, because it is now officially spring, we have the Spring Nature Festival.
Yeah, the 10th Annual Spring Nature Festival at the Wind Wolves Preserve. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on March 29th. Okay, it has many free, and I'm going to stress this, family-friendly events that are planned for next weekend, with guided hikes, live reptiles, a planting station, and a variety of food vendors. Now, the Wildlife Conservancy says it expects to welcome probably 5,000 people that weekend.
Wow.
So they encourage guests to arrive early to secure a parking spot. Okay, those who attend will get to see educational booths and a reptile presentation. Okay, I want to stress this planting station thing because that's great for young kids. Get them used to working with the soil, and this is a great place to start with that.
And I love this too because these weekends are a great time for first-time visitors. It is a conservancy, it's always open, but I like that you can go for your first time, check out where you park, check out the trails, learn a lot about respecting the land, not trampling the flowers, getting those pictures, meeting other people. When they talk about the live reptiles, they have snakes, they have tarantulas, which are native to the area. Ooh. But it's entertaining and it's cool.
I know, I get it. And as we started out talking about, it's a great weekend to be outside. So it's not like you're going to go out there and die of heat stroke. This is going to be a beautiful day to be out in nature. You should certainly check it out.
Yeah, I had the joy of driving over the grapevine yesterday, and I could see the orange in the hills. The poppies are already blooming, so you know that those are going to be out there.
Yeah, and it's a shame, if that stayed that way year round, I think you would just live on that road going back and forth over it. So
just live in the flowers.
Yep.
All right. So you mentioned you're an usher at the Fox, and there's so much happening at the Fox.
Oh yeah, it's always something going on there, and so the Fox is going to present Brincos Dietas at 8 p.m. March 29th. Okay. If you want a very different kind of show, it features one of the most irreverent clowns in Mexico and probably in the United States. with his special guest, Kevin Contreras. Again, if you're looking for some fun, laughter, this is one where you might not want to buy in the front few rows. You might get a little feedback from the
into
stage.
the show.
But if you're just looking for a good time, I would highly recommend checking out the Fox that day.
That's just so great. And then also, Killer Queen, a tribute to Queen is happening.
You know, anytime you say Queen, I'm there.
Right.
I mean, I think Queen is one of the great rock bands of all time. So there'll be a tribute to Queen. It'll be March 28th at the Fox Theater, starting about 8 o'clock. I say 8 o'clock, having worked as an usher there, 8:15, you know how musicians
The stars are in charge.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the stop here is part of a 3-month tour of the North American by the group paying tribute to Freddie Mercury and the band.
And when you hear Queen, you think not only of his iconic voice, but also the guitar work, being kind of a rock opera, the way they revolutionized music in the 80s.
Yeah, every song was just, it was an experience. It wasn't just, let's get another tune out. It was how do we lure in the audience? We want the audience to be part of our music. And listen to any Queen song, and you cannot help but either tap your foot, stomp your foot, whatever. You get drawn into Queen's music. It was an amazing group.
Oh, and so just to see that live by a tribute band is fantastic.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So now we're going to move into some plays and other acts. I love the Ovation Theater. Talk about a small venue.
Right.
I got to see Newsies there earlier this season, and the talent and the voices and the acting and the dancing, it was just incredible. I loved being in a small theater for that, and now they have a new show coming.
Yeah, they do. And I do want to talk about how much I love live theater. I mean, I love going to movies. I love watching television. It's how I made my living all my life. There's something about live theater that you just can't replicate in a movie theater or watching something at home. And so Chess will run through March 30th at the Ovation Theater. Now, this is a rock opera that sort of changes the classic game of chess into a metaphor for romantic entanglements and geopolitical conflicts. The powerful rock score is by Bjorn Ulvaeus. I think I got that right. And Benny Andersson with lyrics by the famous Tim Rice. So you know it's got great credentials when it comes to the music on this. And again, it's live theater. Take any opportunity you can to go out and see live theater, even local high school productions.
Yes.
There's just something that you can't compare to anything else.
And I love supporting those actors and directors and everybody behind the scenes who makes these shows come to life.
Yeah, and I've interviewed a lot of celebrities in my life, and the ones who've worked on stage, whether it be Broadway or even local theater, I always say that's the great training ground.
Yes.
That's where they learn how to think on their feet and be able to, especially people like who work in daytime. Those people tell you have to be able to adjust at a heartbeat. And so theater is a great training ground. So again, any chance to see live theater, I recommend it highly.
I do indeed. And we're going to talk more about daytime in a minute, but we also have to talk about the Empty Space Gallery and what they're doing.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. The Empty Space Gallery is presenting Too Many Logos, and this is running through March 30th. And what they've done is this is an auction that's a fundraiser, but the works that are being sold are works by board members who are asked to create pieces of art based on the theater's logo. So please note that Empty Space has a new home, okay? We want to tell you this so when you go out looking for it, you don't get lost. It's now at 5417 Woodmere Drive. And again, I love the idea of when it comes to art, when I work as a docent at the Bakersfield Museum of Art, and I always tell young people, it's perception.
Yes.
The art, an artist can take an apple, and 50 different artists will see it differently. And so when you can say, oh, that's the logo, but we've seen it by different people, it's really an interesting display.
And it'd be cool by anybody in town, but because it's board members who have such an invested interest in the empty space, it's neat.
Yeah, and again, it's local art, it's local artists, it's something you just, even if you don't want to participate in the auction, go by and take a look. Support them that way.
And then, of course, one of my favorite venues in town, the Gaslight Melodrama. They have a new show.
Exactly, the Gaslight. We can always depend on them if we need. You know, when I'm at my lowest, I can always, the Gaslight is there for me. They're doing Hooray for Hollywood. They've done this in the past. They're bringing it back. It's now being performed at the Gaslight Theater, Melodrama Theater, and Music Hall. This is part of their 20th anniversary season. Okay, now what this is about, it's a pair from small town USA who start out looking for stardom, but they end up finding love. So performances are Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So check out the website, pick a time, a date, go out and have a meal, have fun. And again, there's no guarantees in life, but this is one you can almost say you're guaranteed to at least get a chuckle out of it. So if you need lifting up, I would recommend pick a day, go.
Go. Absolutely go. I love the Gaslight Melodrama. Every single show that I've seen there, I have been highly entertained. Talk about talent in this town. But this is also a traditional melodrama, one of only 2 left in the state of California, where you boo the villain and you cheer the hero.
Exactly.
And it's just, there's so much audience participation. There's so much local humor. It's all written and directed locally with local performers. And so it's just kind of an ode to Bakersfield, no matter what they're performing.
Yeah. But it's quality.
Yes.
You would think, it's local and that's, no, the writing of these plays have always been solid and the performances are always great. And
I love that we can use them to downplay that rumor. People say that across the country. Oh, it's local, so it's not any good. No, it's local, so it is that good.
People don't get it. Yes, they're movie stars, but maybe it's like being an NFL pro football player. What is it? 1,000 out of 100,000 or more than that who want to get into it. Well, actors is the same way. It's probably even less that make it in Hollywood. And so all that great talent is still out there, and we get to benefit from it. I'm sorry they don't get to follow their dreams, but sometimes this sort of keeping the wheels turning while you're waiting is a good way to do it, and we benefit from it.
Absolutely, we benefit indeed. So that's all of our local entertainment, but now we want to talk about the big screen for the weekend.
It's the movies. Okay, there are several new movies opening this weekend. That includes The Woman in the Yard, which looks very creepy to me, and A Working Man. Now, in A Woman in the Yard, a family's terrorized when a dangerous stranger shows up at the front door. Ugh. Now, that would be okay if she just stayed at the front door, but you know how these horror films go. She's going to get inside.
Ooh, so it's a creepy woman. Usually it's a creepy man at the door. This
exactly.
is The Woman in the Yard.
Yeah, so equal rights.
Yes.
Women can be just as creepy as men, I'm telling you there. So yeah, if you're a fan of horror films, this is the one to see this weekend.
Oh, it gives me chills just watching the trailer without even any sound.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the idea. This woman in the yard just being in. I mean, if you looked out your window tonight even if you live in a subdivision and saw that, you'd go, well, we're moving.
Yeah, I'm not okay with that, especially out in the country when you're kind of alone. No one can hear you scream.
Yeah, even if you can even get a cell service, how fast can somebody get there?
Oh, creepy. So that's A Woman in the Yard, and then you also mentioned A Working Man.
Now, if you're looking for an action movie, then you should check out A Working Man. It stars Jason Statham. I am going to, when we do our Friday review, I'll be reviewing A Working Man.
Okay.
And so I don't want to talk too much about it, except for the fact that action film fans should check this one out. Jason Statham may not be the greatest actor on the planet, but he always comes through in the action part of it. And if that's what you want, that's great.
We absolutely do. And here's a clip of A Working Man.
Are you a cop?
Nah. You?
Run your pockets, Chief. Let's check for that badge.
You heard the man. Put her on the table. Now.
I didn't come here to be disrespected.
Dun dun dun, we hear the music picking up. So this looks very creepy and strange, but again, so many people hear Jason Statham and they're in.
They're in, and it's an interesting thing about being a film critic is because you can't use I'm not going to say I don't like Jason Statham because he's not a good actor, but if the action's good, I'll give the movie a good grade. I try to judge all movies on what I'm seeing on the screen for that moment. When we talked about Snow White the past weekend, I judged it on its criteria, not on the controversy that had gone on long before the film got to the theaters. So, and so in this case, again, I know there are people out there who will only go see action films or only go see horror films. And that's why I try to put in a mix when we talk about movies. I could very easily just concentrate on the potential Oscar win, but that's not what people want.
Sometimes movies are just for entertainment.
Sometimes movies you just want to get out and escape.
Yep.
And you've got that day when you feel like you wanted to punch your boss. Well, Jason Statham's going to punch somebody for you. So you can get that.
You can get that indeed. And then you were also saying that you wanted to call attention to a unique film.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry, I went too
Oh,
fast
that's
forward.
okay. I'm new to this thing. You can't.
I'm running a prompter, so we're having some fun together.
There's a real unique film out there. It's The Chosen.
Okay.
It's been around since 2017. I love this series, and the new one's going to open this weekend. What they've done is it's really a TV series, but they open it in the theaters. So this weekend you'll be able to see the first 2 episodes of. It's called The Chosen, The Last Supper. Okay. And it picks up with Jesus and the apostles getting to Jerusalem and what goes on during the Last Supper. And the whole campaign started with a crowdfunding campaign. And the first movie was very small. It was done just for the church, but it caught on. And now they are the most, more languages than any other film that's released right now. It has worldwide following. It's just a massive, massive hit. Now I had a chance, I talked with Reza Diaco, who plays Philip, and Noah James, who portrays Andrew, about taking on these roles. I get that whole aspect that you guys are actors and you put on different roles all the time. But when you take on a role like this, does it just feel different? Does it affect you differently? Or is it just another job on the resume?
It's definitely not just another job. And I would say, honestly, it started right from the beginning with Dallas, with the production, with the cast that we have. They've created such an amazing ecosystem, if you will, for this show, where we feel like we can truly be vulnerable. We can truly dive into some of the, wildest, most intense aspects of human nature in this story. And so it feels like a family. It feels like we are set up to succeed in that way because they give us the permission. Because sometimes on other sets, it literally does feel like, okay, we got 10 minutes to get the shot. Stop moving. Go. It doesn't feel as creatively fulfilling because it's all about getting to the end result. And this is the exact opposite.
Yeah, that's very true. When I work, I like to work on reaching for the transcendent in the moments, and there's nothing more transcendent than a historical drama hitting at the epitome of transcendence. So,
Russ, can you follow up on that just a little bit in the fact that, as far as I can figure, you guys have now been together twice as long as Jesus was with his disciples in making this. Has there been do you feel like there's been a bond of the guys in more than just coming to work?
Definitely.
Yeah,
We all really do love each other, and this story would be impossible to tell if we didn't like each other and get along, and if we weren't there for each other. It would just be so difficult to do that in an authentic way. So we really are so fortunate. And then when it's done, we have to decompress. We're there for some long days sometimes. So the fact that we can Reza will be sleeping when we're not filming. Or literally when we are filming sometimes. Did you fall asleep in that one scene when we were laying down?
I'm doing a lot of those.
Yeah. So other than the sleeping and resting in that way, we just get to spend time together, enjoy each other, learn about each other, and it makes then the relationships that we have on camera, I hope, all that more fulfilling.
Yeah, for me the same. I always wanted to have brothers, and now I have all these brothers who are going through various stages of life and doing things that they can advise me on, which is very helpful because I'm not really good at life. So it's nice to have 11 others help.
Russ, talk a little bit. The upcoming are the 3 parts of The Last Supper, and just talk a little bit about filming that. Is it when you're? I watched part of it, and a lot of it you're sitting around a table. Is that easy for an actor, or does that sort of take away a lot of your body movement and that sort of thing, or does it just give you? Talk about filming those scenes.
Yeah, eating is really nice for 6 days in a row, over and over again, constantly. What better way to live life,
Okay, I have the exact opposite. Opposite experience.
I wasn't saying. It's always nice to have the excuse, but eventually, after 30 minutes, that ends the joy of it. And then but also obviously it's very intense, so the feelings are there, and it's really hard because there's delicious lamb, but also extremely intense, sad experiences all at once. So it's very hard to grasp.
You were very brave if you were eating the lamb that was sitting out for 6 days.
You gotta
bravery.
Yeah. It's timeless. It's the Last Supper. It stays forever.
Sounded like it was almost the Last Supper for you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
Noah,
went to a
can
long
you
sleep after.
yeah. Noah, can you talk about we look at the numbers for this and almost a third of the people who have seen The Chosen are not religious. Uh, do you have a theory of why it's I get it when it's attracting the faithful, but do you have a theory of why it's getting a bigger audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I will say for me, I'm a huge history nerd. I love history. This period of time is so tumultuous. There's so much change. And if you look at it, this sets up, the way the world changes for 2,000 years, even now till right now. So I think that it's really interesting to people. And ultimately, what we're trying to do with the show is tell it as authentically, as intimately, as humanly possible. That's really the goal of the show, is to not put it on a pedestal. It's to bring it to us and say, we could have been living during this time. What would that have been like? That's why we're sweaty and dirty and we've got we're like really fishing. We're really falling out of the boats. It's to make it feel real instead of maybe in some previous iterations of telling the story, it's felt a little at arm's length, if you will, or even holier than thou. Instead of in this story, we see the disciples' flaws. We see our problems. We see the arguments, the differing points of view. We see the growth. And I think that's what people respond to. It is a true human story.
Yeah, I agree. Even Jesus is very like available as a character, like he's dancing around from season one and like doing weddings and having his own struggles as well, which is something that sometimes you don't get, that it becomes two-dimensional. And I think I'm very interested in psychology as much as history as well. And I think these characters are all kind of representing kind of crystallized version of all of us who are going through human struggles. So sometimes I watch scenes about relationship issues for like between Peter and his wife, or something between like Matthew and Magdalene feeling like outcasts and outsiders, and you're like, this is, I mean, very relatable. So as much as it feels from back then. And
The one that comes to me right now is we had a family come join us on set last 2 seasons ago in season 4, and they were going through something very, very difficult. And we were so thankful that they could be there with us. But what they didn't even know is that we were filming the repercussions of Lazarus's death in that moment. And them being there while we were filming that and dealing with life and death and grief, it felt the synchronicity was very real. And that to me was very touching. And it made the moment more real because we remembered there are real people who will be watching this later and it will be helping them through difficult moments. And so for us to be there for them, even in a small way, is just remarkable.
You're gone.
That just looked so cool. And then, of course, we want to talk about what's also on TV this week. We were saying earlier, daytime TV is some fantastic acting.
Exactly. I'm a big fan of anybody who works in daytime television because those people work as hard as they can.
They do.
And I had a chance to talk to somebody who's been doing this for a very long time. Heather Tom of the daytime drama The Bold and the Beautiful has been in daytime for 35 years. And she just recently not only appeared in an episode, but she wrote it and directed it.
Cool.
And I had a chance to talk to her about it. Hey, I want to start out by telling you, I've always thought that people who work in daytime drama are the marathon runners of actors.
You're not wrong.
And then you
Actually, I think
go,
sometimes it's a sprint, though. The
I don't know,
pace we move.
but also then you go on and add the decathlon by directing and writing.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what motivated you to want to do an episode where you were, you could have sent everybody home except I guess maybe the caterer, and you may have cooked cookies for that. But I mean, why take on all those challenges?
Well, I've been directing for the show and writing for the show for quite some time. And I've been doing all three. I just never thought to do them all in one episode. And Brad Bell came to me because it's my 35th year in daytime, which is crazy. I kind of have a hard time wrapping my head around that, but it's the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, well, why don't you write and act and direct a show? In celebration of your 35th year. And I was like, all right, sign me up. Let's do it. It's never been done before in daytime for a couple like logistical reasons, and it's only been done a handful of times across all television platforms, streaming or night or anything. But I was like, yeah, this sounds amazing. I'm
Just fantastic. And we're going to have more on that full interview.
Sure.
But just so cool that that's never been done before and she's doing it.
Yep. Again, I admire anybody who works in daytime. Those are the marathon runners of acting.
They are indeed.
Which leads us to this weekend. Go to the marathon.
Go to the marathon.
Go support the runners.
I love it. Have a great day, everybody.